Hi, my name is Ellie Drew, and we are in an extraordinary time, and it's the reason that I'm getting on film to tell you some of the essential keys you are going to need for the next 16 days. We are in a 17-day window, today being the first day on July 6th, on an event that started June 18th called a solar initiation. I was having a summer solstice event here, and all of a sudden, big energies started coming in, and we were being told in the channeling that we are truly at the dawn of the golden age. So let me explain to you some things about what's going on so you're going to understand what's going on in all this chaos energy that's happening right now. What I have found with my group that you guys need to know, and some things that you need to know that I can tell you because I am a clairvoyant researcher. I am a clairvoyant so that I'm looking at things all the time, and my life, my personal life has always been using that gift, seeking out the nature of reality. So there's some really important things that you and your groups need to know. First of all, this is what we're going through. You know, every so many thousand years, we come back into the center of a toroidal field. So I'm going to do it as an infinity symbol to show you kind of what has been happening here. So you come in from a center, and you go. So when we had Christ come 2,000 years ago, we were on a loop out, and that Christed energy was over here stabilizing the output, and then the new dawn of that era was where we came in right here. Right now, where we are at is we are in this nexus point right here. So if you were looking at a toroidal field, this is what this is. And then we go out on these loops, we experience different experiences through our history. What happened with us here is that on July 2nd, I was filming for teaching, and unexpectedly, an incredible energy was coming through that wanted to do an initiation for both the person who was filming me and then the next day for myself, and we were real curious about what was going on. Well, when I went through my initiation, we came to the realization that I was to help you guys understand what's going on. And my body, my whole personal initiation, what some of you call the ascension process, was surrogated through my personhood so that I could capture that information for you as a clairvoyant researcher. We paused, went into the temple, seven of us went into the temple, and then we allowed that information to come back through. What was happening in all this chaos energy of going through here is that my system was showing me how we can integrate with our whole self. So some of the kind of goofy things that were happening for me is that if this is the spine, then this is the kidney point, which is right here at the waist point, natural waist. That's a kidney point. And for the last year, my communicators had been telling me all healing could happen from this point. And I kept waiting for more information and waiting for more information. And I didn't get it until my initiation just, a few days ago here. And what I found is that our spine, our whole energy system, down to the physical aspect, is a programmable biological suit here. And we have access to our whole self if we start demanding to our biological suit, I want my whole self here now. Boom. Well, what started happening for me, because of the filming we were doing, this was actually activating me. So I'm doing some training. One is called Remember, and the second one is Remember 2. And in Remember 2, we were actually doing those statements. I command and demand to be whole now, and statements like that. I want all of myself to be here. I think that might be a part of what kind of was part of this initiation for myself, because I was doing it on film. And what I found is that as I was going through my initiation, there was this waveform on my spine where different communicators were coming through. And we were experiencing strange things. Like I would go back into the temple and I would have the door, I'd have to open the door, but when I'd come out, I didn't think that I would close the door. So one aspect of me here didn't close the door. But then when I forgot something in there and I went to go in there, I ran into the door because we have a curtain in front of it for the temple. And it's like, well, who shut the door? Well, it turns out it was different aspects of myself, but they were warping in time. And I was getting to know all of my aspects. For those of you who know me, in the first Partnering with Spirit, Homer's journey with this man who had come to talk to me who had died, he had told me at that time that whatever you do right now, in this moment for you, whatever you do, it affects all your lives. And so my spirit communicators have never, ever once talked to me about past lives, ever. They only say, would you like to experience one of your lives? As I have gone through this initiation, I was realizing that up and down the spine, I would feel different palpation points when a different communicator was coming in. I got a general, boom, and that's to get us through this. I've got a higher self, and they feel like very distinct personalities. So as you are going through the next 17 days, you may start feeling some of this wobbly that is going on. What happened is that when I called all my people and it finally came time, I kept waiting for this kind of pulse inside of me that there was this whole link up that was going. And for me, it looked like our whole galactic universe as we know it, I keep seeing it as this rainbow web. And we were linking up to this rainbow web in this particular initiation that we were going through. And as we went through it that night, and we all stayed in the temple that night, it felt like a blast shield. Like there were 3 of us that were connected and 1 person on the other side, and we were connected, and it literally felt like we were going through an atmospheric change, and we made some link-ups and some grid lines that we didn't know we needed to do. And when we made it through it, we made it through right to here. Or we have just made it right to this point right here, and this is the 17 days that we have to go through this to stabilize it. Like the hole got punched, and then there was this pause, like a big breath for about 3-4 days here. And then last night I was woken up right at just before 3:33 and said, by 3:33 you need to be outside, because the breath in that we just did, getting through here and kind of feeling like we came to a place where it was just still for a bit, was coming back down, and my system started spasming at my kidney point here as my system was wanting to lose it. It's like, I am locking down, I have got this, I am not going to lose my stability, and we are right here, right now at this point. So some of you may be experiencing a lot of chaos. So that's part of this solar initiation that we're going through. Now, what do you need to know that is happening here? This crystalline grid is all along all through the earth. And this crystalline grid is the color of the earrings that I'm wearing. And they were telling me that we are going through a, like regridding the planet. Like when you start having any of this structure fall down, this is what is part of the clear light structure that holds the one universal law, which is a will to good, or what we know as do no harm. And that has been falling apart, and that's why we have so much chaos on the world. When you come to the center of that nexus point, what happens is this array starts reforming. And something you need to know is that what we're being told is that in each one of these grid places is that this is a macro one from the earth, and there's micro ones around the world, and we are all in one of these. And what I'm being told is that if you act out, it's only going to reflect and come back to you. If you have a will to good, you can be expanded into the unity field where we're all sharing things. But if you act out, you're going to be stopped now. So that is starting to come back into place. So here's some other things that you need to know. Years ago, my communicators, and I've been trained to do this my entire life, so I have never understood at the human level why I would be shown certain things. And now, after this initiation, I understand a lot more. One time, I was brought in to our physical sun. And I was telling my communicators, excuse me, getting close to the sun here, and all of a sudden we went through it, and I realized, and it felt kind of plasmic, that there was another sun inside of it. And then they started heading to this sun. I go, excuse me, we're going to another sun. They said, just watch and observe and report. And then in the center of that sun was this plasmic, energetic kind of ball of eminence. That's the best description I can give you, is eminence. And so we have our physical sun, there's the sun inside the sun, and then there's the sun here. For our particular 3D reality, what I'm finding with the geometry here is that there becomes a certain buildup of charge, and the word is desire. That's why when you manifest in this dimensional reality, desire is really important. And this particular impulse that created our sun was the desire to experience, to create. To experience, to create. So that is the baseline of this 3D reality in our entire solar system. All solar systems have their own purpose for different experiences. Ours is a playground. We come here in these biopods to be a playground. I started to get information in this last spring, and I started to see some other things. Like, I started to see in our energy body some specific things that were unique, that I had not seen before. I started to see, I'm going to do a back and a front. So this is back. This is front. Someone gave me a tuning fork that was a pineal gland tuning fork, and they started holding it up here, and I'm going, it's not doing anything for the pineal, but it's activating something in the back of the sacrum. And I had been given information that at the base of the sacrum, that this whole thing is connection points to our energy body. That's one piece. Another piece that I was getting, let me do the head at the side, that inside our brain is something that I never hear anybody talking about. And for me, our brain looks like a walnut, and it's golden, and it's the size of a walnut. I'm also seeing at this occipital point that that's going to be a piece important, because right here is that occipital point, and this is a connection point right in here to whatever is inside our head here that I'm not hearing anybody talking about. In the front, another piece of information that I'm getting is how important our breastbone is, and that this is a programmable code. There's encoding that's in it. There's encoding in the sacrum. From the back, there's plug-in points at the sacrum. I'm also seeing in the front. So if you're a woman, it would be in the front of, behind the uterus, in that sacrum, and that there's a plug-in, like 50 amp plugs in both sides. Another thing that I was being shown is that we have our soul pod. So our soul pod sits in the center of our heart chakra, right here. So it looks similar to this. It has tails on it. So these tails then go down the front. That's why you get in your power, in your lower belly. For those of you who are Qigong people, martial arts people, this is your power center here. And then it connects in here. And then you get some communication with your brain self. So the brain has like two of these, because we have the left and right hemisphere. And the brain seed looks more like a seed. So we are a hybrid species, and I've been teaching this for quite some time, that we have our soul pod aspect, and we have our seed, which is our brain, which is two different things and two different communications. For our soul pod that goes into the brain, these little dangly things, these things make up our spinal cord. And that's our communication that goes all the way down into the sacrum. What I was finding is that as people go into fear in this Ming Men point, in this kidney point, it disconnects them from being rational and controlling their emotions. And I'm finding that people's energy fields are floating up and outside of them. They're not fully grounded. They're not, a nice energy body that is around the person. Instead, it's floating up at the head. And that's why people can be so emotional and in their drama, or very mental and disconnected in their communication styles. Now, how does this relate to the suns? Here's how it relates on the new information I was given, and you're going to need to know this. When I started to get information, I was being told how the suns are created and how dimensional realities are created. And this is how it works. I started to get this vision. I'll come back here. I started to get this vision of a sun. And this sun, it just felt like there was a building charge. And then one time I saw it, the best description I can give you is that it burped. And when it burped, it created our entire galaxy and solar system. So that meant that our physical sun now, it started to build up a charge for what it desired, which is to experience and create. It burped, creating our universe, creating our galaxies. So our particular sun is a sun within a sun, and then this emanating plasma field in the center. So sometimes you'll hear me refer to it as the third sun in. What I found is that your connection point for our physical sun is right here at our sacrum. You are tethered right here with a big plug that is connected here, and this plug goes to our physical sun. So that is the closest that you can get to what we would call creator energy or creator source energy. But then, if we have this brain pod, I'm going, well, what is that connected to? So it comes back to the back of the head. And I was feeling right here at C1, or that dip in the back of the head, just like in the movie The Matrix, where they would plug Neo in, and then he would be able to access information. Well, our brain pods have also a connection at the back of the head here, and it goes to a sun also. But guess where that sun is? Some of us are told about like the central sun, and I've always asked, even in my Qigong training, where is the central sun? And nobody really had a clear explanation for it. Our Mother Earth, our Mother Gaia, birthed us. We are the seeds in our physical biopods of Mother Gaia herself. And when she burped seeds. She burped everything that is creating right now and our created programmable biopods that are your body. This connection point right here then, you want to connect here right to the center of the earth. So the sacrum goes up to physical sun, the back of the head goes down to the physical, or to the physical earth sun. I don't know why people are not talking about a sun inside of the earth, but I am seeing it very clearly, and we need to know this information. What is happening in the physical body now, in some of the information that we were given, is this, for your connection points. Here's your head. Here's your body. Here is our physical sun. And our physical sun now, remember, you connect in at the sacrum. This is where those plugins are, and you are tethered to the physical sun. The earth sun connection is right here. So this goes to earth. But, you know, it feels like it's opposite because we think of our physical sun being up. But this is why we kind of reach out asking for eminence. And I was always like, where is it out there? Our connection is actually down here at the sacrum. And many of you are probably feeling some burning and some activation that is happening at the base of this spine. As we go through this solar initiation, it is very critical that you do not go into any polarity. So I have a little gadget here that can really explain this well. When you are in your most authentic self, centered, grounded, appropriate, locked in, and you have your energy body the way it needs to be, you need to be able to be in that neutral place. If you go in, you get your everybody for the next 17 days here until July 22nd, 3:33 in the morning is when it happened for me last night. When you get to your own initiation process, because everyone is in this game together, everyone is resetting, you're going to get triggered. Your buttons are going to get pushed, and you need to lock down and stay neutral. Because if you go into a positive polarity, you are creating the negative. If you are going into a negative polarity, you are creating the positive. And we don't want to start this next cycle with continuing the chaos that we have. It's time for people to learn how to manage their biosuits so that they can stay plugged in to their power. And this power pack, bam, is right inside of you. So I'm hoping I'm explaining some of the things that are happening here. There's a little bit of more information I can give you about your connections that we observed when we were doing the person who's filming me, an initiation for her. So I realized if at the base of the spine we have a connection point, and up here we have a connection point for our brain pod, so you got your brain pods here. So these are connected here into this earth. Well, then how does the earth information communicate with our solar information, our higher self information? Your soul comes in here, goes down, gets connected into here for your physical sun. I knew there needed to be a way to connect these systems up, and I really got a surprise when I was working the energy on this, because in the back, connecting this point up here at the back of the head with the sacrum, I thought maybe one would reach to the other and it would be fine, and that's how the connection would go. That is not how the connection went. How the connection went like this is that as this energy was coming down and this energy was coming up, it was like hitting a glass window as I watched it. And my hands were like this, and I just thought it was going to go across, and it didn't. It smashed into each other, creating your personal toroidal field. One of them we see as the pictures that you see out on the internet. The other one I haven't seen it when I'm working on people. So one is in the unseen realms, one is in a realm that we can see more for those of us who are the clairvoyants or scientific energy. And this is right in the back of the heart chakra, right here. So that crashed, creating these toroidal fields right here. And then I said, I still know it needs to connect because this is just some of the energy, but it's meeting here. How is the brain pod going to connect with the soul pod energy that's plugged in down here? And what I just asked, and I said, so, how does that need to happen? And I just knew, just stay and set that intention that they need to be able to communicate. And wow, you've got to rewatch Avatar, because it is exactly, someone else must have seen this, because you could not have gotten a movie that is going to show it so clearly, that the tethering here with these little dangly things that I'm seeing, the tethering there connected with the tethering on the other side exactly like in Avatar, and they just reached for each other, literally just reached for each other as tenderly and as sweetly, and also proportion-wise exactly like Avatar. That is your connections that you're needing to do right now. And I know all of us are part of this, because I've been working with some scientists for 5 years, And when I was first working with them, they were saying, my communicators were saying, there's a bunch of groups around the world helping to bring this ascension forward. And part of that ascension was that all of us had to be working on things. And then over the last 5 years, I'd go, I think that we may be taking a lead because we're having a shift. And then we would have another shift until our group over here took lead. But all of us, I was told it could have happened in any group. It just depended on what group was most stable and all of that. But I was told everybody who's doing the work, whether the science comes through one group or another group, it didn't make any difference. If all of us were studying the nature of reality, we were building a pressure to have this information come through, and then pretty soon it starts to have breakthroughs, and I would find that there was less energy that was here. I'm not explaining this well, but anyway, our group ended up coming to point. So we were the ones leading this solar initiation so that we can report back to you about what's going on. Really important, stay in your heart pod. Make sure that you have good control of your biological suit here, because it is going to be a bucking wild ride for about 17 days. And it's really critical we get through this time to stabilize it. You guys are already out there. You're already gridded on the planet. You know what your work is. Be love. Don't send love. That's out there. Be love. Be joy. Be wonder. Be inspiration. Be gratitude. Those are the 5 songs of creation. You have to be that now, and you have to refuse fear. If you engage in any kind of fear, shut off your news and completely ignore it, because otherwise you're feeding the fear factor on the entire planet and you're harming all of us, making it harder for all of us that are holding this up. It gives us more weight. You join with us because you don't want to disconnect your points where you are really in your power. Last night, in this pause at 3:33 in the morning, as it was coming back down, resetting the Earth grid, it was the most exquisite energy ever. And it felt to me like the great invocation, that everything that was in the great invocation was now starting to come through. And that's where we're at right now. So I hope every day you read the great invocation. I hope that this helps you. And I hope I was able to give you some assistance for your plugins. And I'm Ellie Drew. I'm glad to share this with you, and many blessings to you in these next 17 days.